make sure that we put in the chat our affirmations. Let's affirm who we are in the BYOB family, and we're going to take back what belongs to us by putting it in the chat and owning it. Also, put where you're calling from. Put where you're from in the chat. I'm so excited because I love these calls, because what do? They teach us how to begin to walk in profit, giving us a foundation of profit, and that's what the BYOB movement is all about, learning how to profit money, learning how to compound money, learning how to have the mindset to manage the money that you, BYOB, wealthy people are always going to obtain, because you have this beautiful skill set at hand and you made a decision to learn it. So go ahead and put it in the chat where you're calling from or where you're from, and put your affirmations in. All right. Jacksonville, y'all know I'm a little biased, a little Duval, so welcome, Jacksonville. All right, we got Georgia. We got North Carolina. Listen, our BYOB family is everywhere, and that's so important. You know, our movement is focused on economically empowering and financially educating 2 million families. That's your brother, your sister, your cousin, your neighbor down the street, the little kid that's soon going to be a millionaire because of what you're learning how to do and how you're going to share this with other people and make that impact. So don't forget, for others, go ahead and continue to put in the chat where you're calling from, as well as those beautiful affirmations that you're going to walk in because you're just called to do it. Let me welcome a few other people. I see so much. Okay, yes, we have Cleveland, Ohio in the house. Yes, we have Trinidad and Tobago. Beautiful. We have another Ohio, Toledo. Yes. So I'm excited. We have some great affirmations. I love it. Listen, wealth cannot run away from you. I'm seeing. All right, welcome, Milwaukee, Stone Mountain, Georgia. Now listen, as you know, guys, wealth is what we're going to obtain, and we are just people who know what we're doing and love what we're doing in the BYOB movement. This skill set is going to change families and shift legacies and generations. And so don't forget that in here, this call is structured so that you understand the BYOB cash out. So, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. So I'm excited because this movement is going to shift lifestyle. And every time that you cash out, every time that you learn this strategy, every time that you cash out and take the pips up and put money in your pocket, best believe that you are setting the stage and the precedence of you're going to own this thing. Listen, 9 to 5 is going to own you. Money loves you. Money always finds you, and money chases you. And I love that. I love that outlook. So who else do we have in here? Cleveland, Ohio again. We have, is that Michigan? I always get those wrong. I know that's Maryland. It's either Michigan or, I don't know. I'm not really good all the time with those, the abbreviations, but I'm excited about this call. So I want you to, if you are new and this is your first day on the call, I want you to put a 111 in the chat. And as well, if you're still learning the BYOB cash out strategy, Michigan, and that's what it was. I just came out to Blue, Michigan. And if you are new to the BYOB cash out, put a 222 if you're learning how to cash out. I love it. I love it. You look like money to me. So this call is beginning now. So once again, BYOB is the largest economic empowerment movement in the history of mankind. And what we're going to do is what we're doing is shifting legacies and changing the generational narrative. Now, I'm excited about the woman that we're going to get to listen to. Some call her the Pip Master. Well, most call her the Pip Master. Some call her Miss Anderson. Some call her Success Looks Like Success, and that's what I call her. Listen, Miss Anderson is the Pip Master, and she's going to show us very much back to the basics because our foundation is structured in this strategy, and how we're going to go ahead and cash out is because of the things that she's going to implement. So make sure that you take notes because this woman is phenomenal. When she speaks, you definitely have to listen. When she instructs, you want to follow the recipe follow the recipe and execute the blueprint. Listen, she's been in Success Magazine 10 times, family. Success Magazine 10 times. So that room, she sets the stage. All eyes are on her, and her smile lifts a room and brings the sunshine in a room. She has a big heart for helping people. She is an educator, a BYOB educator, who decided that she has to share all of this knowledge that she was taught, that she learned from her mentors from the mastermind team, and she wants to implement it and share it with y'all so y'all can breathe success just like she did. She has put herself in the position to be in the top 1%. And baby, money loves her. And so I'm excited about what we get in business. So once again, take notes, make sure you pay attention. And every time that you listen to her, just know that you're walking in wealth and abundance and prosperity. So I will introduce my business partner, the pimp master, a success coach, an awesome, phenomenal woman, Miss Tanya Anderson. Miss Anderson, are you there?
I am here. I'm here. Welcome. And thank you so much, Miss Licia Monet, for that amazing introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, the woman you just heard from is full of wisdom. She is a millennial on the move. She's someone who is making moves. She's well sought after. She's a television personality. She's a social media expert. She is a radio personality. She has a background in human resource management, and she brings all of those talents and abilities to the table here in the movement. And I know for a fact, because of her vision, her commitment, her passion, she loves to have a good time. She loves to equip and empower people because she is always in the lab, elevating her thoughts, her mindset, her knowledge. I know for a fact she will go down in history as one of the leaders who created billionaires after billionaires after billionaires. So thank you so much once again for that amazing introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, I am excited because this has been a terrific Tuesday. And before I say another word, if you cashed out today, if you took profit in the market today, I want you to drop a 777 in the chat. If you took profit today, if you cashed out, if your trades ended in profit, drop a 777 in the chat. And if you're compounding, drop a 888 in the chat for the eighth wonder of the world. 777s and 888. Look at this, you all. We are acting it out. We're walking it out. We are being our own bank. I'm so excited to be a part of this movement. I don't know what to do. I can't sleep at night. I take naps because I'm so excited about what's happening right now. And we are in the middle of creating history. Why do I say that? I say that, ladies and gentlemen, because we have witnessed individuals from the age of 6 years old to 86 years young mastering this skill set, executing this skill set. So everybody has money, everybody has currency, and everybody wants more. So this is something that everybody should be exposed to so that they can learn this skill. This is our modern day gold rush, literally being a part of Be Your Own Bank. So let's talk about the history of Be Your Own Bank. Let's talk about how it all began, because I believe history dictates the future. So we know that the visionary, Mr. Gerald D. Rogers, he did not have to put this movement together, but because he's a visionary, because he's a historian, because he's very wise, he realized that we were at a moment in time in history where it was time for a financial revolution. It was time for a financial movement. It is time. We've already seen the civil rights movement. We've seen women's rights. And now that we are free to roam about the world and do whatever we want to do, create whatever we want to create, compete on whatever level we choose to compete upon, now it's time to get money as an issue out of our lives once and for all. And we all have that same opportunity, a level playing field here with BYOB. He's a visionary. He has 25 years years of investment banking under his belt. He has been behind the scenes with big banks, so he knows exactly how they execute. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But let's talk about how he's a business success coach and mentor. He's mentored tens of thousands of people globally because of his leadership ability. He has a background in mortgage lending, both residential and commercial, real estate development. He is a minister as well. This is his ministry, ladies and gentlemen. He has a huge heart and will help anybody who will participate in their own rescue. So if you have an opportunity to be coached and mentored by the visionary, don't take it for granted, because the best is yet to come in this platform, because he's always thinking about adding value. And I'm proud to call him my success coach and mentor. And then we have Miss Tasha M. Dyer, the trade whisperer herself. I'm going to start whispering that. The trade whisperer. Miss Tasha M. Dyer, the creator of the BYOB cash out strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, what she has done is truly phenomenal. I mean, just imagine being able to take a skill set and simplify it so that a 6-year-old can understand how to trade. That is how ingenious she is. She's a retired major from the U.S. Army. She's a licensed financial advisor. She has her MBA in 2 different categories, HR and leadership. She's been nominated for countless awards. Guess what? She traded for the military. Do you think she knows what she's doing? They entrusted her to trade for the military. And now guess what? We're benefiting from that experience. And then she gets up every morning, Monday through Thursday, 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. Eastern time, to go live, to teach us the strategy, to teach us how to identify great setups so that we can be the signal. We're being our own bank. And then we have Dr. Craig Bythwood. He is the finance doctor. He has his PhD in finance and economics. He is a consultant to CEOs and CFOs. He's been a CFO himself and a professor. He's a single father. He is a girls basketball coach, because there's 3 young ladies, they love to play basketball. So does he. He has a huge heart, and twice a week, he avails himself to answer any questions that we have about finances and economics free of charge. And ladies and gentlemen, he wrote his dissertation on bank mergers and acquisitions. So we have the dream team. We have our mastermind team fully equipped to teach us how to be our own bank. That should excite each and every one of you on the line. And then leadership means that you find your successors. See, you identify leaders, and then they take the ball and run with it. And we have our 2nd generation of educators. We have a phenomenal 2nd generation of dream team, a 2nd string, right? So we have Mr. Antoine Sims, the industry precisionist with over 20 years in the restaurant industry as a regional vice president, was responsible for $200 million plus in sales and revenue in that space. And now he teaches us how to dive in and cash out with the US 30, S&P 500, and the like. Then we have none other than Pastor Joseph Washington, who is our personal development coach right here on the BYOB platform. He is our BYOB average breaker. He has been in the White House, you all, during the Obama administration, sharing with them how to be above average, how to break that, be the average breaker across the globe. He has his own church, and he's here to pour into us so that we understand from which we came. And then we have Miss Tritana Perry, our crypto igniter. She's our crypto educator with bringing 31 years of experience from the insurance industry. She is a missionary, which means she has a servant's heart. She teaches every single week at her church so that she can empower the kingdom. And then we have Miss Benita Brantley, our trading diva, HFX sniper. She has her MBA. She's a project manager. She's a fashion designer. I could go on, but she has simplified a process that allows for us to take a 3-minute trade with binary options and compound our account daily in just a matter of minutes. And then yours truly, I am your pit master, your BYOB basics educator. My motto is let's kiss. Let's keep it super simple. Why should we complicate anything in life? Let's keep it simple. We have done that in this arena, and we have a strategy that's going to blow you away, and you can use it to develop your account, build your account to 6 figures in 6 months. And there is no other platform on the planet where you can walk away learning a skill in one night and then understanding how you're going to go ahead and develop that account from 3 figures to 6 figures. So I'm excited tonight to be able to roll out Be Your Own Bank, the largest economic empowerment movement in the history of mankind. See, when you're in the midst of making history, you don't realize the magnitude you're having. You don't realize the effects that you're having in the people around you, the world around you. And so we are doing just that. The largest economic empowerment movement in the history of mankind means that we are going to change the way that people learn about money. We are going to reveal things that have been hidden in plain sight. So I want you to just imagine putting yourself, you and your family, on the other side of money. What does that look like to you? When money is no longer an issue and all of your needs are met, every desire that you can imagine is at your fingertips. When you can move around the world in a private jet the way you want to and not have to worry about going to the airport amongst people that you don't know and don't want to be around and travel with, right? Just imagine being able to give more to your church than you used to earn all year. Just imagine being able to stamp out poverty, homelessness, being able to contribute to breast cancer research, just being able to make a difference, being a part of the evolution of the mindset of the CEOs that we all have within us. So everything is at our fingertips if we just take the time to think about why we were here and what our purpose is. And we know we live in a capitalistic society, and without money, we are not free. And if we have our hands on something that anybody can learn, if you can read and you can add, guess what? You can learn this skill. So it is our duty to spread the information, let everybody know about the largest economic empowerment movement in the history of mankind. See, let me back up. We know about civil rights. We know about women's rights. Think about Martin Luther King. What if he knew this strategy back then? Right? What if he knew this strategy back then? Where would we all be today? Well, we are walking out his vision. And so now it's our mission, our responsibility to make sure we pick up where he left off and spread this movement. Now, what is our vision? 2 million families financially educated, empowered, and impacted by March 28th, 2022. Mark it on your calendar. Put it in your screensaver, whatever you need to do as a daily reminder. Set alarms twice a day as soon as you get up. March 28th, 2022. Why? Because we have something big to do. What are we going to do? We are going to show people how to enroll. We're going to teach people the system. We're going to teach people this strategy so that we can all profit and leave that generational wealth that we often talk about. So how do we start? It starts in the mind. It starts with your mindset. It's all about belief. if you can believe that you can be your own bank, if you believe that you are a billionaire, if you believe that you're anointed for wealth, if you believe that it is possible to change the face of our generations to come financially, then what you have to do is affirm it. And so what we do when we start our calls, we start with our affirmations. Why? Because we need to get our minds right in order for us to attract the wealth that we so desire. So what do we drop in the chat? You want to take a screenshot of this because we create a culture of success, right? Positive minds, positive vibes leads to a positive life and good vibrations. So it starts with, listen, I am a BYOB master trader. I am the signal, and see yourself as a master trader. All my trades end in profit. See yourself in blue all day, every day. I'm an educated trader, therefore I am a profitable trader. I am 777. What does that mean? That means that you are constantly attracting profit. Right? I am anointed for wealth and I am a billionaire. I am a billionaire. Tell yourself, why did Muhammad Ali tell himself that he was the greatest of all times? So he could believe it, right? He believed it. So he told himself he was the greatest, and he was. Now, what do we need to do? We need to be educated traders. We have people around here, these Facebook investors. They're talking about all of the cryptocurrencies out there. I had a young man the other week ask me, what do you think about this particular cryptocurrency? I said, I have no idea, but if you show me a chart and you show me the movement of that cryptocurrency, I can show you how to make money, whether it goes up or down in value. That is the beauty behind what it is we're doing. We don't have to purchase an asset, hold on to it in hopes that it increases in value. What we do is we learn a skill, we learn how to analyze charts, and we learn how to profit from the movement of price. That is unbelievable. I love it. We're able to profit from the movement of price. So wrap your minds around that, because you represent a very small percentage of people who really understand that this is what happens behind the scenes when we put our money into a bank account and we don't earn any interest from our checking account, right? But the banks are compounding our money every single day, and they're not sharing in that profit. When we purchase mutual funds, IRAs, CDs, and the like, right? We're taught, listen, if you make a 10% return per year, you are doing phenomenal, right? When behind the scenes, they're making 10, 20% a day off of your money. So let's take our money back into our hands, right? Let's compound our money using this skill. So here are a few important terms that you definitely want to understand and comprehend as much as you can, as quickly as you can, so that you can become one with the movement of the charts. You develop a relationship with the charts just like you do with a person. It takes time. You have to make sure you give it the attention it deserves, and then eventually you will benefit. So here we are. We have the indicator. Now, indicators are simply tools used to predict future prices. And we use 3 indicators when we are in our charts and we pull up the BYOB cash out strategy that is housed in the vibrata that you only have access to when you enroll in the academy. That's the value behind the academy, is the education and the tools. These are tools that are used by the big banks. And so the stochastic is our leading indicator. Why do we call it our leading indicator? Because this is what we look at. The first thing we look at when we pull up our chart is the stochastic. The stochastic measures the momentum of price, and it gives clues about trend shifts. So when you're in the market and you're analyzing, price is either going to be going up, down, or sideways. When it's going up, we can take profit. When it's going down, we can take profit. When it's going sideways, we're waiting for it to either go up or down because we never trade when the market is going sideways. That means there's no liquidity in the market. So this is used to indicate when an asset moves into an overbought or an oversold position. And we'll talk about that when you can see the stochastic so that it will make more sense to you with a visual. And then we have the Hikinashi candles. These are our lagging indicators. The Hikinashi candles and our PSAR are our lagging indicators. So you first look at the stochastic, then you identify the Hikinashi candle, whether it is green or red. So these are trend candles that help identify whether the market is pushing an asset's value up, down, or whether it's just moving sideways. So when it's moving up or down, we can take profit. When it's moving sideways, we are waiting for it to move up or down because there is no liquidity in the market. So keep this in mind, the trend is your friend. And then we have the parabolic stop and reverse, the PSAR. This is our lagging indicator. It looks like a small dot or cross that outlines the candles and is used to determine where our stop loss should be, when we should enter or exit a trade. So you pay attention to the PSAR because it pushes price either up or down. The PSAR is called a dynamic support and resistance line because it's constantly moving with the price. Okay, so those are your important terms that you want to master. You want to understand them and you want to be able to explain them. Why? Because an educated trader is a profitable trader. We're not guessing, we're not hoping. Another affirmation for us is 100% of our trades, we say it all the time, ends in profit, all of our trades, right? So here are the simple steps. We utilize the IML web analyzer, which is now called the Vibrata, but we have just simple 3 steps to profit. So I don't know about you all, but I've gone to different seminars. I've watched different educational videos to learn this skill set and was totally off the mark because I had no idea what was happening. But with this simple strategy, tonight, you will understand how to execute a trade. I think that's very powerful. So number 1, you review the stochastic. That's what you look at first when you open the chart. Number 2, you review the Hikinashi candles. And number 3, you review the location of the PSAR. So let's talk about the terms sell and buy. When we think of selling, traditionally, we're taught, okay, you buy low and you sell high, right? But this is totally different because we are not taking ownership of anything. We are watching the movement of price based upon other people or in institutions buying and selling. So when we say, okay, that's a sale, we're just indicating that price is dropping. When we say, oh, that's a buy, that's just an indication that price is increasing. So we use buy and sell, but we're not buying and we're not selling. We're analyzing the market as people and other institutions buy and sell in the market. All right, so step number 1, when you're looking to identify a sale, the stochastic is around the 80 marker. So the top of the purple shaded area on our chart, excuse me, the blue and the red line are crossing over, the blue line's crossing over the red, heading in a downward momentum around the 80. And when the lines are above the 80 and then they start moving down for a sell, that means it's even stronger because the taller you are, the harder you fall, right? So that means there's even more and more momentum when those lines are above the 80 mark. The next thing you do after you identify the blue line crossing over the red, heading in a downward momentum, then you want to identify the red candle, the first red candle with a flat top. This indicates a strong sell when the candle has a flat top. Now, when a wick begins to form on the top of the candle when it's selling, then that indicates that a trend reversal is coming. But the flat top means it's a strong sell. Then the PSAR, when it flips, so before the PSAR appears above the red candles, the PSAR is traveling beneath the green candle. So we call it flip. We say, okay, we're waiting for it to flip. That means it's changing direction. It's changing from following under the green candles to flipping and following above the red candles. So we wait for the PSAR to flip above the first candle that we see with a flat top. And then we look for time frame confluence and execute the trade if we see confluence. Now, what does it look like when you are executing a buy or you're entering a trade and you know that price is going to increase? So the first thing you look for is the stochastic is going to be around the 20 area on the chart. And the blue line needs to cross over the red line in an upward position. And when the lines are below the 20 and they're moving up towards the 80, that means it's an even stronger buy. So that means that price is increasing and it has momentum. Step number 2, you're going to look for a green candle with a flat bottom. This indicates a strong buy. So when the bottom of the green candle is flat, it indicates a strong buy. And then you're looking for a wick to form on the bottom of the candle, and that indicates a trend reversal. So you have to pay attention to what's going on in the market. When you have a flat bottom, that means it's a strong buy. When a wick begins to form on the bottom of the candle, that indicates a trend reversal. And then you have your PSAR. The PSAR flips. So when we were selling, the PSAR was above the red candles, but now that we're buying, the PSAR is going to flip and end up below the green candle. The first green candle that you see with the flat bottom, then you need the PSAR to appear beneath that first candle. So we're looking for overbought and oversold stochastics as we are analyzing and determining when we're going to enter a trade. So those are the 3 steps. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to bring up the vibrata so that we all understand what it is we're looking at. We want to understand the power behind this tool, and we want to make sure that we stay plugged into the academy so that we always have access to this tool. All right, so let me go to my web analyzer. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Here we go. All right, so I want to make sure that you can all see the vibrata. Can I get a 111 in the chat if you can see the vibrata? 111 in the chat, 111 if you can see it. Excellent, thank you, thank you, thank you. What do we have here? Let's see, let's see, let's see. Okay, we're gonna talk about the strategy. Oh, okay. We're going to talk about the strategy, and we are also going to talk about the value behind this tool. But first, let's talk about the fact that our very own visionary, Mr. Gerald D. Rogers, is the spokesperson behind the scenes. When you open up the vibrata, you will see a video of him explaining why this is the premier tool and the value behind being a part of the academy, because you won't find this tool anywhere else. It's exclusive to iMarkets, and this is the type of tool that big banks use in order to analyze the market. So just imagine having access to tools that multi-billion-dollar corporations use in order to compound our money behind the scenes. The person who developed this vibrata and the web analyzer approached Mr. Rogers because of his tenure, his background in investment banking, and wanted him to make sure that this tool was a premier tool. He wanted to make sure that it was of significant value so that everybody could benefit from the wealth of information in the academy and be able to execute with the proper tool. So I want you all, when you get a chance, make sure you show your gratitude for Mr. Rogers, because he's someone who is well sought after. When millionaires gather and they talk about who they should get counsel from, Mr. Rogers is on the top of the list. And so we are in a blessed situation, you all. So let's talk about what we see here. We have the vibrata. This is a tool that allows for us to analyze price. All right, this is a tool that allows for us to analyze price. Now, I'm going to tell you, before I enrolled in the academy, I had never seen a chart where it was live in the market. So I didn't know where to look. Why? Because in school, when I used to read charts, we would start from the left and then look at the bottom, right? But this is just the opposite. So here we have price on the right-hand side. And then at the bottom, this is our stochastic. So our stochastic is this blue and this red line that travels in this purple shaded area that's marked at the bottom with a 20 and at the top with an 80. And this is how we identify whether price is overbought or whether price is oversold. So here you see the actual price of the Euro USD foreign exchange pair, right? Here you see the actual price in large numbers, because I like to see what's going on. When price begins to move, you move after you analyze. You want to make sure you analyze at all times so that you know when to pull the trigger at the right time when it's time to enter your trade. So here we are at the bottom of the chart. You see the time, and here's the time. And then if you put your cursor on there and click, you'll see the actual date. So right here at the very right here, closest to price, this little bitty candle that you see, this is the actual price, real time, of the Euro and the US dollar currency pair. At the bottom, you'll see November 3rd, because this is ahead, right? It's UTC time, but this is the actual time. So whatever coast you're on, make sure you understand the difference between the times, but you just want to know that you're live in the market when you're closest to price. And this is the live candle. The stochastic is live when you see the end of the blue and the red line. This is live price. So I'm going to double click in here, or not double click, click with two fingers with my Mac. And then I'm going to click countdown to bar close. I said Mac because on the IBM computer or Dell, you don't have to use two fingers. So here we are. We have this timer here that says 11:05. This is letting you know that the price, the candle here on the 15-minute chart, the candle changes every 15 minutes. So this timer lets you know that you have 10 minutes and then you'll see another candle appear. So price is changing constantly. The candles on the 15-minute chart, you see a new candle every 15 minutes. So let's talk about what overbought and oversold means. Let's talk about, if you're taking notes, talk about what overbought and we're going to talk about overbought and oversold. And I want you all to understand, and I'm going to quiz you, so get ready. So overbought, let's think of an analogy when something is overbought and oversold, right? So think about gas prices. Right now, if you go to the gas station and you get some premium gasoline, it's going to cost about $3.99 or so, right? And so gasoline prices, they normally live in a range. So when we look at the bottom of this chart, the stochastic, it travels through a range, right? Between the 20 and the 80. So we've seen gas go from $2 to $4, etc., right? So that's a pretty good range. Would you all say that? Can you all be comfortable with that range for gasoline? Drop a 111 because I want you, to interact with me. Let's talk. Let's just talk. Let's bring it to life, right? Thank you, 111, 1111. You got the raisins tonight? All right. So we can use that range from $2 to $4. Let's just say $2 is the low end, $4 is the high end, right? So when price moves, let's just say compared to gasoline. So if price is at $2, it's low. But when price begins to increase, that's what this stochastic represents. It represents when price is at a low, but now it's going to increase. Now, keep in mind, this is the live price right here. Anything to the left is historical data. So we like to look at historical data because it indicates where price will end up if we know where it's been. And so if gasoline is $2 here and $4 here, and we say that when price becomes overbought, it means that price has reached a plateau and now we expect it to turn around and go down. So I've never seen gasoline at $10 a gallon, right? So I don't expect for once it gets to $4, I expect for it to stay there or come on down, And then when you see price at $2 now, it's not going to stay there long. It's going to come back up, inch back up to $4. It's going to come back down, right? Depending upon what's happening in the economy. So I want you to understand that as the stochastic is traveling in this purple shaded area, it is letting you know here price was oversold because it's near the 20 marker at the bottom. See the 20 down here? And price is overbought when it's around the 80 at the top. So remember, oversold is at a low. So you expect it to turn around and increase. Overbought is around the 80. It's at a high. So you expect it to turn around and decrease. Does that make sense to you all? Overbought and oversold. Drop a 222 in the chat if you understand that analogy, because that's what we look for when we're analyzing price. We know that price is going to travel within a range. So when it's overbought, you know that it's going to come down. When it's oversold, you believe that it's going to come back up. And our indicators help us to understand when that's going to happen. Awesome. Yes, 222. Love it, love it, love it. All right. So when we begin our analysis in the market, I want you to understand that we start with the stochastic. So I want you to just look down here at the bottom of the chart. You see this little kangaroo, and then you see this kind of like a Japanese hut down here. These two icons indicate what markets are open. So Australia and the Japanese market are open right now. So I'm just going to click on AUD USD and see what's happening with that pair. All right, so here we are live in the market on the 15-minute chart with AUD USD. And if anybody wants to help me out and drop a trigger in the chat, that'd be great, because I didn't bring it up on my phone and I don't want to break my flow. So if you can, just drop a trigger in the chat so I can explain what triggers are and the value behind them. My Mac, I have to keep clearing out my cookies to get my triggers. So let's talk about what you would see here on your computer. So on the left-hand side, one of the valuable assets of having access to the vibrata is that we have triggers that pop up here that show us what to analyze. So you never have to wonder what to look at. You have these triggers that nudge you. So the triggers appear when price is in a correction. That's a good thing because when price breaks out of a correction, typically you can then identify a good trade setup. So these triggers are not telling you what to do, it's telling you what to look for. It's telling you the trend of the market on that particular time frame. And so when we look at AUD/USD, here we are, AUD/USD is the Australian dollar and the US dollar. This is a currency pair. So let's look at this beautiful sale that took place. Can we look, did anybody cash out on AUD/USD today? Drop a 111, or no, drop a 777 in the chat if you cashed out today on AUD/USD. Boom. Right? Because it had a beautiful drop today. See, the beautiful thing about this strategy is we don't care if price moves up or down. We know how to take profit. So I'm going to show you how when you leave here today, you're going to be able to look at a chart and understand when you are going to take profit. So here we go. I'm going to start here. Let's see. All right, let's just start here. We have on the 15-minute chart, if you're taking notes, this is our foundation. This is where we begin our trade on the 15-minute chart. This is where we analyze, and everything has to line up as I described perfectly on the 15-minute chart for us to even look at the other charts for confluence, right? So tonight, I'm going to make sure you understand what you need to look for on the 15-minute chart and what you need to look for on the 1 hour chart. So when you start your analysis on the 15-minute chart, right? Again, you look for the stochastic to be either overbought around the 80 or oversold around the 20. You want to look for these positions because it indicates momentum is coming. So when price is overbought around the 80 marker and then it turns around and drops towards the 20, you want to ride that momentum down, and that is how you take profit in the market. All right, so it started to become overbought right here. You got the blue and the red line above the 80. But then it went sideways, right? It dipped a little bit, came back up, crossed over, and began to drop here. So it began to drop here. And what are we looking for after we identify that price is overbought and it begins to fall? You are looking to identify a red candle with a flat top. So I want to make this a little bigger so you all can see these candles and why you would be looking for, and what you would be looking for and why. So here we are, triggered GBP USD and EUR AUD. Okay, perfect. I'll get to those in just a second. Excellent. Thank you, Deborah. All right, so we have the blue line crossing over the red around the 80. So that means price is about to fall because it was overbought. We don't expect it to get any higher, so it's going to fall. And the stochastic is telling us that. That's why it's our leading indicator. Then we look for a red candle with a flat top. Notice this candle has a wick on the bottom, a wick on the top. That's not what we're looking for. This candle has a flat top, but no PSAR above it. Here are the PSAR. The PSARs are these dots. So here, boom, we got a red candle, flat top, PSAR above it, right? So here we go. Now, this is what we're looking for. The blue line to cross over the red heading down. And we got a red candle with a flat top and a PSAR above it, right? So that's the beginning of our analysis. We see all those things, those three items on the 15-minute chart. So I'm going to put an arrow above that candle with the flat top and the PSAR right here. Now, what am I going to do? I am going to take my cursor And I'm going to put it right above the PSAR. I'm not going to touch it. You see where that cross is? Now you look over to the right in the price column and you see 0.75369. That's where you're going to place your stop loss. Okay? 0.75369, your stop loss when you're identifying a sale, you put your cursor above the PSAR without touching it, and that's where you put your stop loss. You want to give yourself room to stay in the trade until it plays out. All right, so I'm just going to drop a line here, and this is a perfect example tonight because of this, and I'll explain why. So if I put my cursor here and I don't touch the PSAR, I go a little bit above it, I drop my line here, right? This price in yellow, that's your stop loss. If everything lines up and you enter the trade, this is going to be your stop loss. Does everybody understand why you need a stop loss? Okay, what was the time difference from crossing over 80 to overbought going down? The time difference. I don't know what you mean by the time difference. Can you elaborate on that question? What was the time difference from crossing over 80 to overbought going down? The time difference between what and what? Oops, to oversold going down. Yes, how much time passed from up to down? Oh, okay. So it started here at 1945 and it went all the way up to 2300. So 3 hours and 15 minutes, or yes, 3 hours and 15 minutes. All right, so here we go. So your stop loss would be right above the PSAR. Now, this price began to drop, right? If you would have entered your trade because you went on the 1 hour and the 5 minute for time frame confluence, which we'll talk about in a second, you would still be in your trade when price wicked out here, but continued to sell because you put your stop loss, you put your cursor above the PSAR. And so it kept you in the trade, even though something crazy happened here unexpectedly, right? You still would have remained in the trade and you would have been able to capitalize on this drop. So that is the genius behind this strategy. You got, let's just give it up to Miss Dyer. I mean, really, come on. This is just like, it is God sent. And she shared it with us. So that's what you look at on the 15-minute chart. Now, when you look at the 1 hour chart, and of course, this is going to depend on the market and liquidity, right? But you want to make sure you check for confluence. So we're going to check for confluence or agreement on the 1 hour chart. So let's look for our arrow on the 1 hour chart. And what do I need to see on the 1 hour chart? Oh, did I drop an arrow? Let me see. What do we need to see on the 1 hour chart? So I didn't drop an arrow. Let me put my arrow back. My arrow should be right above this candle here with the flat top and the PSAR. So now I'm going to go to my 1 hour chart and make sure I have agreement. I want to make sure I have agreement. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to look at the stochastic first. The stochastic, wherever I put my arrow, you put your cursor in the middle of the arrow, right? So here we are. The stochastic is not pointing down, it's moving sideways, and I have a green candle. So it's not in agreement with the 15-minute chart. What do I mean? The stochastic needs to be pushing down just like the 15-minute stochastic is, and I need a red candle. So if you're taking notes, those are the two things you need when you are checking for confluence on the 1 hour chart when you're analyzing from the 15-minute chart. You need the stochastic to be pointing down in the same direction where price is flowing, and you need the same color candle. In this case, the stochastic needs to be pointing down, and you would need a red candle. So I wouldn't have felt good getting into this trade until I saw this right here, where this red and blue line was pointing down and you had a red candle. See, this candle formed here, but the stochastic was still kind of moving sideways. It dipped, dropped when this candle appeared. So you didn't have confluence on the 15-minute chart, or you didn't have confluence where you analyze from the 15-minute chart. So that's where you begin to exercise patience and you wait. So you would have waited. This is an hour candle. This is an hour candle. So you would have had to wait a couple of hours for the perfect setup. Now, do you need to sit at the chart and look at it for 2 hours? No, you can just set your timer and say, okay, the next candle is going to form in whatever amount of minutes. Let me look back at it then. So let's just move this arrow over and say you said, okay, you were on the 15-minute chart. Let's see what the 15-minute chart says at this point. On the 1 hour chart, we have confluence based upon what we're looking to do in that sale. So we're going back to the 15-minute chart, and we're going to look to see if the stochastic is still moving down, and if you still have a red candle, flat top, and a peace sign, right? So here we are. So the blue line is pointing up really there. We have a red candle, flat top, but no peace sign. So you wouldn't have gotten in there either as a beginner trader. So we wouldn't have gotten into that trade. But let's just say you had confluence, okay? Let's say you had confluence and you wanted to look on the 5-minute chart. What would you be looking for on the 5-minute chart? You would want the stochastic to be either heading up or moving sideways, and you would want a red candle. So let's just look for our arrow and see what we see based upon where we're looking or analyzing from on the 15-minute chart. So here we are on the 5-minute chart. We're looking for confluence. Guess what? We don't have confluence. We have the stochastic is up here, right? You know, above the 20, moving sideways, a little bit moving up. We got a green doji candle, which means it's more wick than candle. Absolutely not. We wouldn't take the trade, right? So this is just like following a recipe. What you would have wanted to see on the 5-minute chart is you would have wanted the stochastic to be pointing down or moving sideways, and you would have need to have seen a red candle and not a green candle right here. We don't have that, so we would not have entered the trade. Any questions about the setup for that sale? Any questions? Questions? Yes, thanks, Ms. Dyer, for the strategy. Absolutely. Thank you, Dream Team. Absolutely. Any questions? Are you all clear? If there's any question you have, I don't care if this is your first time on the call or not, any question for clarity. We want everybody to be compounding their way to 6 figures by January 1st, right? So you want to be practicing between now and the end of December. And you want it January 1st, guess what? You're going to open your live account, deposit your money in there, and compound your way to 6 figures by July 1st, so we can have a party on the 4th of July, a 6-figure party. Who's in? 777 in the chat. If July 4th, 2022, you in on the 6-figure party. I done moved it to 7 figures, y'all. Right? Who's in? 6 figures in 6 months. Freedom. That's right. Freedom. Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to celebrate our financial freedom July the 4th, 2022, because everybody on this line is going to be enrolled in the academy. They're going to be practicing that strategy between now and December 31st, so that January 1st, you can take 1 trade a day by following this simple strategy and compound your way to 6 figures. You know what? I'm getting myself excited. Let's look at a buy. let's look at a buy. So let's look at GBP. Let's look at which one. What did you drop, Deborah? GBP USD had a trigger. All right, let's look at GBP USD. GBP USD. This has great liquidity. You know, you can seem to find the trade on GBP all the time during the day. You know, today it fed us really good. If you all cashed out on GU today, I want you to drop a 777 in the chat. If you cashed out on GU today, drop a 777. She ready. She ready. Yes, Olympia, I see you. Yes. Drop a 777 if you cashed out on GU today. Yes. Okay, excellent. So here we are. We're going to look for a buy. We're going to look for an entry where price was increasing. And okay, here we go. Let's check this one out. Okay, so here we see the stochastic. It came from around the 80 down to the 20, so it was oversold. So now what are we doing? We're waiting for the blue line to cross over the red line around the 20. Remember the 20's down here. The blue line to cross over the red line and head up towards the 80 marker, which is the top of the purple shaded area. So here we are. We have the crossover here. It starts to head up. So now the next thing we're looking for is simply a green candle with a flat bottom. Boom, here it is right here. This is a green candle, but it has a little wick underneath it. So you wouldn't be looking for that one, but you are looking for this green candle with a flat bottom and a PSAR underneath it. See, look at how beautifully this is pointing up, right? You got the stochastic pointing up. Green candle, flat bottom, PSAR underneath it. Remember, we're just going for 10 pips and cashing out. So I'm going to put my arrow pointing up underneath this green candle right here, right? And so I'm going to look at the 1 hour chart for time frame confluence. So I want to look at this same moment in time to see if I had the stochastic, if I have the stochastic pointing up in a green candle. That's all you need on the 1 hour chart to say, yes, you have confluence, you can take the trade. So look at here. Yep. The blue line crossed over the red is both heading up. When I put my cursor in the middle of this yellow candle, I got the stochastic moving up, and I have a green candle. It looks like just out of nowhere. It's saying, here's a little money for you, right? You got a green candle just out of nowhere and the stochastic pointing up. So let's look at the 5-minute chart and see if we had confluence on the 5-minute chart when that was happening on the 15 and the 1 hour. All right, so look at this. Beautiful, right? We got our cursor in the middle, the blue and the red line pointing up. We got a green candle. It has a flat bottom and a PSAR, which is bonus. So when you're on the 5-minute chart, what do you have to see when you're looking to enter a buy? You're looking for the blue and the red line to point up or to move sideways. We got a hot mic. Keep your mics muted, you all. And you need a green candle. Typically, you're going to have the PSAR, but you might have a wick. That would be okay as long as the stochastic is pointing up and going or sideways and not pointing down. As long as you have a green candle, you typically always have the PSAR as well. So that would have been a great entry for 10 pips and cash out. So let's just go back to the 15 and see how many pips that would have given you had you taken that trade. Oops, move my arrow back. Okay, so I'm going to go here to the left, click on my ruler, take it on over here, take it to the bottom of this where you would have entered the trade here. And I'm going to measure the pips. Let's see how many pips you would have gotten. That's 27 pips. So you could have easily jumped in, got your 10 pips, cashed out, compounded in a matter of, let's see, an hour or so, and been gone about your day, right? So depending on your lot size, right? You could have made $10, $100, $1,000. It just goes up and up. As the bigger your lot size, the bigger your account, the bigger your lot size. So this one trade could have just made your day. So I am running out of time. Let me talk about the eighth wonder of the world really quickly. Does anybody have any questions before we transition? Before we transition, any questions? Questions, comments, testimonies. Questions, comments, testimonies. Anybody a little bit more clear tonight? You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, let's quickly talk about the eighth wonder of the world. The eighth wonder of the world, compounding your way to six figures. We have to talk about that really quickly. I'm going to go fast because I'm out of time, and I definitely don't want to take the finance doctor's time because he has some information that's simply going to blow you all away. And so here we go, here we go, here we go. The eighth wonder of the world, compounding interest. Those who understand it, earn it. Those who don't, pay it by paying interest on credit cards, mortgages, loans. You start your account with a $500 balance. One trade a day at 5% is going to build your account to six figures in 6 months. Here's the chart. Take a screenshot of it. Take a picture of it. Reflect upon it. You start with $500 at the end of month 1, $13.26. The end of month 6, $174,455. You withdraw your $100,000. Continue to compound off of that $74,000. And guess what? At the end of 12 months, boom, you got 8 figures in the bank. How are you going to do it? By practicing and making this skill set a part of your reality, developing a relationship with the market. Who's excited about six figures July 1st? Who's excited about six figures July 1st, right? All right, so you're going to start slow. You're going to start cashing out and having $1,000 days plus, and you're going to ride the wave and trust your analysis. So we want you to make sure you stay plugged in. We'll make sure you get all of these resources. And remember, membership has its privileges. When you enroll in the academy within the BYOB family, you get a $200 restaurant voucher just for making the decision to be your own bank. And then you get rewards for mastering your skill set. So we'll make sure you receive all of this information so that you get rewarded for cashing out trips and pips. You send the information and proof to be your own bank movement at gmail.com, and you are able to travel around the world courtesy of Be Your Own Bank by being your own bank. Right? When the market moves, you move. What will your legacy be? 7-figure status plus and creating your own utopia. We are enrolling 2 million families by March 28, 2022. And with that being said, it is my privilege to turn this platform over to a gentleman who I have the utmost respect for. This gentleman has his PhD in finance and economics. He thought of this amazing movement and decided to contribute in a major way. Twice a week, he's here to take our mindsets to the next level, make a subject very enjoyable called economics. He'll answer any financial question you have, and he is well documented in this space. His dissertation on bank mergers and acquisitions, he's coached and mentored CEOs and CFOs so that their bottom line could be more efficient. So he's going to help us be our own bank, be the big bank, be the average breakers we were born to be. So please help me bring to the Zoom line my friend, my brother, my partner, Dr. Craig Bythwood. Dr. Bythwood, are you there?
Yes, I am, Miss Tanya Anderson. Thank you so much for doing what you do and being who you are. This movement is better because of your presence, and we really appreciate you. Welcome, everyone, to a talk with the finance doctor, your RX for Forex. For those of you that are new, let's really make sure you understand what this call is about. When the visionary Gerald D. Rogers came up with this concept, he was thinking that he wanted there to be an intimate dialogue between the members of this movement and myself. Why? Because we understand two very important principles. Number one, personal finance is the only area of our society where the individuals that share with you information about the products just happen to be the same individuals that sell them to you. Okay, think about it. Say you wanted to know about the dangers of crack. Would you go talk to a crack dealer? Of course you wouldn't, because their economic incentive creates a scenario where they probably wouldn't tell you the truth about what it could do to your system. So we understand that this is an opportunity for us to have an objective conversation about all of the areas that you're going to have to be managing with your newfound wealth. Second reason why this conversation is important is because we always want to make sure that we understand how important mindset is. And every single thing that we do has to be a vibrational match to who you are. Wait a minute. He didn't say vibrational match to the skill set. Wait. He didn't say vibrational match to the time frame of influence. No, he didn't. He said a vibrational match to who you are. So when you take on a decision like this, to be a part of a ministry like this, when you decide that you want to have 6 figures in 6 months, you have to make sure that this is the goal and this is the mindset. So these are the things that we talk about on these calls. And keep in mind, new people, 111ers, 1.5, 1.5ers, that the reason why it's called a talk with the finance doctor, the reason why we aggressively selected the preposition with rather than from, is because this is a dialogue. So if you have questions, if you have comments, please, if you have testimonies, please walk in the power of the unmuted microphone. Make that diagonal red line disappear from the lower left corner of your rectangle. So welcome to a talk with the finance doctor. Now, someone today during our, I don't recall which one, either the 5 a.m. or the 9 a.m. call, typed in the chat, I would like Dr. B to talk about tapering. Well, one thing you need to know about Dr. B, he's a good guy, he's a servant heart, he's knowledgeable, but he's petty. You don't tell me what to do, I decide what I'm going to talk about. Just joking. So I really appreciate that person for saying that they wanted to discuss tapering. And so I'm going to do it. Now, I will say this. If that person is on the line, it was tapering and something else. And I think it was Fed rates. And if so, that'll be addressed within tapering. But after I finish this discussion, if the person is on the line and I don't say everything that they wanted me to say, please chime in. So let's first of all talk about this. If you get a personal email from me, it'll have in my signature line 2 Bythwoodisms. Bythwoodisms are little pieces of wisdom that I've accumulated over the years based on my perception of life. And the first one says, worry is interest paid on a debt you may never owe. Let me say it again. Worry is interest paid on a debt you may never owe. Has nothing to do with this conversation, but always good to understand. And then the second one says, if you know what you're doing, you will always have a job. And if you know why you're doing it, you will always be the boss. So we want to wireize this conversation first. Why do we care what tapering is? We care about tapering for this. One of the things that Ms. Dyer said this morning, I really appreciate. She talked about the fact that on one of our news websites, the Forex Factor, it's the one that's brownish, orange, greenish, that one. So there's FX Street and Forex Factor. I believe it's FX Street. So that one has now added a component called Why Do Traders Care? And she admitted that in the beginning, she used to follow it because she wanted to get this thing right, thank God for us. But she didn't really understand, why do I have to know all of this crap? She said, just like that too, crap. So I'm lying. So basically, they now have the Why Traders Care concept, which really lets you know when you can pinpoint exactly why the particular item, the particular folder, the particular news item, the particular red folder is something that we need to know as traders. So bottom line is, why do we care? We care because this is a conversation that is taking place every single day in the economic news. And when we understand the way the overall infrastructure works, we increase our ability to be able to understand how it impacts our trades. Our ability to be able to get to 6 figures is impacted, let me change that. Our smoothness, because our ability, that's done. The smoothness in which we will get to 6 figures in 6 months is predicated on things that are happening with macroeconomic variables. So if we understand those macroeconomic variables, if we understand how these things impact, then we're going to be in a good position. I didn't even realize this, but that first Bythwoodism is going to be relevant. Here's why. There's a difference between understanding how it impacts our trades versus what some of our peers do. And I hope I'm talking about our peers and not us. Because the moment you decided to become a rectangle in this movement, you decided that it really does not add value for you to complain or for you to worry about what governments are doing. Think about it. Governments are going to do what you do. Today's voting day. So I hope you vote in your local elections so that you can have some power in some of the decision makers that can affect you. But at this point right now, there's a government that exists. And when they make decisions, I hear too many people talk about the impact or complain about it or have an issue with it. That's not what we're doing at all. What we're doing is understanding how it works so that we can smoothly get to our 6 figures. So the topic on the floor is this. What is tapering? What is tapering? Now, I'm going to break it on down for you because that's what I do. But I'll start by giving you the big picture answer. The big picture answer is tapering is simply a slowing down of something. Tapering means there's something that you're doing, and now instead of stop doing it, you're going to slow down. Ooh, I got a perfect example. So in the middle of my call, or as I'm preparing for my call, my youngest daughter says to me, Daddy, I'm hungry. She didn't know she was hungry before I started my training. Daddy, I'm hungry. So we decide I don't have time to go get her anything. By the way, I'm messing with her because she was supposed to be picked up by mom and that didn't happen. So I don't have time to get something to eat because I'm about to do a call. I don't have time to cook anything because I'm about to do a call. And I don't want her out in the streets. If we just had basketball practice, pores open. Ooh, I sound like an old school dad. So bottom line is we decided to do DoorDash. Now, hear me. I'm about to break this down for y'all. Here's the reason why I was so willing to do this for my baby girl. My baby girl is a hothead. Ooh, did he say that on a Zoom where it's recorded? He did. My baby girl is a hothead. So baby girl will hit me with a tone. Baby girl will hit me with an attitude. Baby girl will roll her eyes in a way that none of my other children do. I have 3 daughters. My other children would never look at me the way she looks at me. They would never take a tone the way she takes my tone. I'm not the only one dealing with this. So I am managing this child, and she's very emotional. So I'm managing this child's emotion. Now, here's what I want as a father. What I want as a father is for that heifer to stop. Did he call his child a heifer? On YouTube's gonna get us. I'm sorry, Miss Dyer. So the heifer, I want her to stop. Have a great attitude forever. For the rest of your life, speak with me. Don't call me bro. Ooh, when she called me bruh. Ooh, I ain't your bruh. I'm your father. So what I want as the authority figure is for her to shut it down. There will be no more drama. There'll be no more emotional issues. Everything will be fine. But check out what the very intelligent, very wise, raised by me girl threw back in my face. She said, Dad, you have to realize that it's a process. I'm not simply going to change overnight. Child, please. Child, please. She's a Pisces. What was I supposed to say to that? Because Chick was right. So watch this. Tapering is when you're doing something and then you slow down the rate at which you're doing it. So Chick is doing something. And even though I want her to stop, what she's been doing is a very good job of slowing it down. So I'm acknowledging the fact that Chick has been tapering herself. I'm acknowledging the fact that she has really been working on her energy. I'm acknowledging the fact that she goes off on me maybe 30 times instead of 75 times. So I'm joking. So it's only 20 times. So bottom line is this. That is a real life example of what tapering is. Now, of course, I'll put this in perspective so you understand the federal government's role here. But that's the definition of tapering. Tapering is when you're doing something and then you slow down the rate at which you're doing it. I'll give you another example. Tapering is a concept in sports. There are certain activities that you train for, and the training has to be more rigorous than the actual event. That's what prepares you for the event. Marathon's a perfect example. So if you are going to run a marathon, you don't just run a marathon, you run miles and miles and miles and miles so you can prepare yourself for the marathon. And one of the things they do is they make sure that they run more than the marathon. That way, when they get it, it'll be in a better situation. That just made me think about something we do in girls basketball. Sometimes we'll get these big medicine balls, and there's a medicine ball basketball, and we make them dribble the medicine ball basketball. It's challenging to dribble the medicine ball basketball. Then when they get on the court, the real ball is easy. Oh, coach, I got, oh. So it's the same concept with the marathon. You're training and you're training and training, but before the event, you need to preserve your body. So guess what they do? There's something that they're doing, and then they slow down the rate at which they're doing it close to the competition. So tapering, from a broad definition, simply means you're doing something and then you slow it down. Now, let's federal governmentize it. Let's macroeconomicize it. Let's monetary policyarize it. Yes, certain people you just shouldn't give PhDs because they'll make up words. Now, here's how it works. Right now, we had something called a global pandemic. And whether you recognize this or not, the economy was slowing down prior to the global pandemic. So people have talked about the fact that the business cycle has been shaped like a V. What does that mean? That means pandemic made it go like this. Pew! Now, once you go down to that degree, guess what? You went down so fast, then the rate at which you go up, boom, is like this. So the V shape of the business cycle is a result of the fact that you had an already declining market go down sharply just as a result of the pandemic. And then, of course, it went up very quickly. Now, I want you to think about this. There are only two facets of a market: supply and demand. The only people who are selling something are people that are buying something. We live in a capitalistic society. Heard Ms. Anderson say that, which means it's predicated on buyers and sellers. It's predicated on supply and demand. So the way it works is simply this. If the cycle moves up fast, that means people are buying at a greater degree. That means that people are looking for products at a greater degree. But think about what this did. Think about how many people lost their jobs. There's still 11 million people out of work since the pandemic. It was 4 million for a while, now it's 11. Think about the companies that had to shut down. Think about the companies that don't do some of the things they used to do. So a lot of economic slowdowns in certain industries. So that means that the supply of goods is returning very slowly. But the chasing of goods, even a company that wants to rebound and they want to purchase supplies, they got to purchase supplies from companies that are slowing down. So what you have is you have demand that's faster than supply. Demand is quick. If I want to go to the mall, I just get in my car right now and go to the mall. But if I'm the store at the mall and I want to replenish my inventory, that's a slow process. I've got to look at how much inventory I have right now. Child, perfect example. I'm about to go out of town tomorrow. So I wanted to fill my house with toilet tissue. So I go to Sam's Club. I get to Sam's Club, they are totally out of toilet tissue. The decision for me to demand what I want was simple. Get in your truck, go to Sam's Club, use your card, get you a big old thing of toilet tissue. Because you know how girls are with that toilet tissue. Why am I bashing my babies tonight? But they didn't have any. And I said to the person, y'all don't have any toilet tissue? And he said, watch this. We're out of toilet tissue and we don't know when it's going to return. Y'all see my point? All I'm saying is demand is faster than supply. Now think about it. If somebody wants something and it's not that much of it, let me say it again. Let's do this. Let's do a chat question. We never do group participation. This is going to be so exciting. We're about to do a group participation. Get ready. We're about to do a group participation. Now, answer this question in the chat. If a lot of people want something, if there's a high demand for something, everybody wants it, but then there's not that much of it, what happens to the price? What happens to the price? Exactly, Coach Tony Freeney and everybody else. It goes up. It goes up. Now watch this. You guys just accurately answered how something happens in a micro context, but we're now going to macroize it, because that's what happens with any product, with any concert, with any situation. But if you aggregate all of the products, if you aggregate everything that happens, now you have a situation where too much demand, toilet tissue, chasing too few supply, none on the shelf, creates higher prices, which is called inflation. So that is why we have inflation. That is why inflation is so high. Now watch this. When there's inflation, it makes people nervous. Now, I don't agree with that at all, Coach Freeney. I don't agree with that at all. Because here's the deal. Price gouging means somebody's making a decision on what they're going to do with price. And it also, just be real, because we're about mindset here. That's a victim mentality. That means somebody's doing something to us. But in reality, what's happening is there just isn't enough time. I don't have enough time to put the toilet paper. You think Sam's purposely doesn't want my girls to have toilet paper? We have one roll in the house right now. We're going to try to make it work, but they're not making a decision to hurt me. So basically what I'm saying is too much demand, too few supply, or fast, quick demand, supply doesn't have enough time to respond, or it takes longer to respond, higher demand than supply, prices go up. That's all I'm saying. And when we look at it like that, there's an understanding of what's happening versus somebody's doing something to me. I say it all the time, y'all. I'm going to say it again. People do not do and say things to you. They do and say things. Let me say it again. Oops, somebody felt that. People do not do and say things to you. They do and say things. We just take it personally. So now you understand why there's inflation, and you need to understand this too. When there is inflation, then it really impacts our perception of the government. We get very ornery. We do a lot of complaining. We have a lot of issues with inflation. So the government has a very strong incentive to take action to address the inflation. Oh, hell, heck, there's inflation. We got to do something about it. So I'm going to share with you 3 things that the federal government, and when I say federal government, I'm saying this. The Federal Reserve is not the government. The Federal Reserve is an organization that is sponsored by the government to do something that's going to help the government. Why? Well, politics. If the Federal Reserve was the government, then it would change every 4 years or every 2 years or whenever there's a vote. So the Federal Reserve was set up to be independent of the government, even though it's a government entity, but not the government. So the Federal Reserve did 3 things to address what's going on. The first thing they did was they lowered interest rates. Because if I lower interest rates, that now means this. Everything that you do that requires debt, when you buy a house, when you buy a car, when you finance your refrigerator, all the things that we did before we joined the BYOB movement. In order to do that, when you compound out, Ms. Anderson, when you do that, by lowering the interest rate, I just made all that cheaper for you. I just made it less expensive for you to do all those things that we don't do anymore. So lowering the interest rate means more people will do things they didn't do before. You know something else that happens? Individuals who live in houses will refinance. And when they refinance, it now allows them to pay less. If they pay less for mortgages, that's more money that they can go and spend on other products, which affects the overall economy. And it also provides income for the bank, because the bank that does the refinancing is going to charge for the refinancing. People don't realize that. All they look is the lower payment, but the bank makes money off of it. I'm not mad at the bank. I'm just saying lowering interest rates causes an economic impact. Second thing the government does. Now, I want you guys to walk away understanding what bonds are. A bond is a fancy way of saying debt. It is simply a loan. But the two sets of individuals that are participating in the loan are the government and the public. So the government decides, hey, we want to borrow money, just like a company. When a company decides to borrow money, it's more efficient to do it with individual investors than with a bank. With a bank, you got to fill out all this paperwork, you got to have collateral, it's a hassle. So what institutions, what organizations and governments have decided to do is this. Let's borrow money from investors because we can actually borrow more with less risk, and then we'll pay them back in the future. Well, watch this. If the government borrows money from you and they choose not to pay back, nothing you can do. If an institution, if IBM borrows money from you and they decide not to pay you back, nothing you can do. So the federal government has set it up that whenever an organization borrows money from you, they are bonded by law to pay you back. That's why it's called a bond. So all I'm saying is this, like Ms. Anderson said, let's keep this simple. A bond is simply a loan between an organization and somebody else. A bond is simply a loan between an organization and somebody else. So what happens is there are people who have invested in the federal government. They have lent money to the federal government. Well, guess what? That means that they have an investment, but they had to wait on the money. It's an investment. You have to wait on the money. It's an investment. So this is what the government does. The government decides they're going to buy back the bonds. So that means all of those people who I owe money to, instead of making them wait another 17 years, I'm going to buy it back right now. Guess what that does? Puts money in people's pockets. So when the federal government buys back bonds, that's a fancy way of saying they're simply paying the people back for loans that aren't due yet. They're simply paying people back for the loans that aren't due yet. Buying back bonds. I know you've heard that term before, but maybe not had any context. Now you know. Now, third thing that the federal government has done. Now, a very large part of the United States economy, and I say it like that because it's not like this in every country. A large part of what happens in the United States government is real estate. So what that means is simply this. There are so many components, so many industries that benefit from real estate. So securitization is a concept that means you take something that exists and you make a security out of it. So one of the things that the real estate environment did was this. They took all of these mortgages. What makes a mortgage? Somebody buys a house, they borrow the money, and while they're paying the money back, it's called a mortgage. We all get that. So what they did was they took these mortgages and they simply made them into a security. They took the principals. The principal means the amount that's paid back and made a security. So they're buying and selling it. They took the interest and they made that a security. It's called a mortgage-backed security. I'll prove it to you. You guys have participated in this before and you didn't even realize it. How many of you, this is rhetorical, you don't have to answer me. How many of you bought a house, took out a loan, you were paying somebody, and then all of a sudden you got something in the mail with a new coupon book, with a new individual? That's a mortgage-backed security. The second company bought the mortgage from the first company. Now, same thing. The individuals that hold these securities, they're waiting. They're waiting for it to get paid back. So the government will go in a situation like this and buy back the mortgage-backed securities. Right now, at this very day, there's $7 trillion in bonds and mortgage-backed securities that are held by the federal government. Think about that. That's a big number. $7 trillion of bonds and mortgage-backed securities have been purchased by the government. Why are they doing that? Because all three of those things that I told you, lowering interest rates, buying back bonds, buying mortgage-backed securities, it puts money in people's hands. That is called monetary policy. Now, said all that to say this. They do it every year. They do it every month. It's something that they do. But now they're slowing down the rate at which they do it. Tapering. That's tapering. Questions, comments, testimonies.
Dr. Bythwood, I just want to say again, as always, the collective consciousness and the confirmation, you won't believe, but just prior to this call, Doctor and I were talking about the marathon. He ran the marathon until he was 70 years old.
Wow.
He was just talking about the tapering, not only of the running, but also of his eating. The eating, and I'm amazed. It's always what you have prepared for us and the questions that come forth. It's just mind-boggling.
Wow.
That God knows what we need and he puts it in the hearts of others. And then he also confirms what he said to us through other conversations. Thank you. I'm delighted.
You know, Mrs. Reed, we've been doing this for a long time. So you're right. The collective consciousness is real. And for those of you that may be new, collective consciousness means that when you get energies of individuals and they're in the same place, they're matching. They vibrate at the same frequency. That's why you're here instead of somewhere else. The Bible talks about that. They call it where two or more shall gather. So thank you for that, Mrs. Reed. Don't y'all love the way she calls her doctor, and I want somebody to call me doctor. All right. So questions, comments, testimonies.
Yeah, I want to add something. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you've had the opportunity to sit at the feet of two amazing individuals, the pit master of selfness, Anderson, and then you've had the luxury of sitting at the feet of Dr. Craig Bythwood. And ladies and gentlemen, when we decided to engage and put this movement together, for those of you listening, this was all about you, because we know for so long, this information has been truly hidden in plain sight. And it is our mission, it is our purpose to continually provide this level of continuity, this level of intel, that your families can be the benefactor of just simply you absorbing this information. But here's what has to take place. What has to take place is you have to come alongside with us and understand that you now have a fiduciary responsibility, because you've received such quality information. It will be negligent of all of us to ensure that the people, the hearts, our communities, our place of fellowships, you have to now open up your heart and your mind and allow this forum to be your loudspeaker. 2 million strong, it's a rally cry, it's a crusade, it's a journey. This is truly the largest economic empowerment movement in the history of mankind. And if you have on any level have had your eyes enlightened, your hearts expanded, your minds expanded tonight, I need you to drop an 888 in the chat. If this information, simply the rendition of what Dr. Bythwood has shared with you, and many of you are homeowners and probably had no clue that you're operating in this cycle, in this system, but now, as Dr. Bythwood says, if you know what you're doing, you always have a job. But if you know why you're doing it, you will always be the boss. And it is our responsibility to ensure that as long as your ears are open and your hearts are pure, then we want to make sure that we empower you, we expand your mind, we equip you, and then it's our responsibility to exit so that you can reproduce after your own kind in your own personal communities. Because in order for us to do this, our voice has to be synergetically blended, and we now shout the same thing, and now the mass is going to be the benefactor of you saying yes to yourself, and now that's going to be a tremendous reverberation throughout the entire universe. So I just wanted to add that commentary, and thank you so much, Dr. Bythwood, tonight for just doing what you always do.
I appreciate that, Mr. Rogers. I really do. What a great thing to say and to add to this conversation. So I hope you all heard that. I hope you absorbed it. So one more time, any questions, comments, or testimonies? Okay, I probably should have announce this to my colleagues first, but I'm going to have to miss Thursday because I have to actually speak at an event on Thursday night. So I look forward to greeting you all next Tuesday. So no talk with the finance doctor on Thursday, but of course you will have a wonderful market talks on Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so let's go ahead and pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this opportunity to greet all of our energies in the collective. Thank you for this opportunity for us to continue to navigate in a way that shows that you are in control of it all. Please allow us to just let go of any worry, any concern, and just allow us to just show up and let you be God. Thank you for this movement. Thank you for the educators. Thank you for the educated. Thank you for the families that have yet to hear. We are thankful. We are appreciative and we are grateful. Amen. Okay, everyone. See you next Tuesday. And this has been a talk with the finance doctor. Have a great Tuesday evening, and we'll see you tomorrow at 5 a.m. Take care.